Hi, welcome back to Pain and Revival podcast. I hope everyone is having a great day. Today, I have a very special guest, Dr. Joshua Siegel. He practices in Long Island, New York, and I heard him on a Band of Brothers call like a few months ago, and he did phenomenal, and his story really touched my heart, and I can't wait to see how it touches your guys' heart. So, do you want to go ahead and take it away?
Yes. Neva, thank you for the opportunity. When you shared that night on the Band of Brothers called, it just made me realize we're all going through different storms in our life. And I think the more we share our stories, the more it's going to help other people have breakthroughs in their life. So I think and I believe that we all have a testament to share to the world in God's glory. But if we take the step forward and say, we're here for a reason, we're here for a season, how could we bless others and bring more grace into people's life to help transform and elevate souls? And so my story, I guess starts as many children growing up in a divorced home, watching all that conflict. I knew that wasn't a normal way of life. And then after my dad left and he passed away at the age of 13, it really made me want to change. It made me want to not be that victim anymore, but to see how my dad's struggles and his addictions and his story took away his life at 38 years of age. It made me want to be more. And at that time, I decided that I wanted to be a chiropractor because I saw it through chiropractic was my lens that it helped me get rid of asthma. It helped my body heal and adapt, but it also helped my father live an extra 2 years because when he was diagnosed with a terminal disease, the doctors gave him a few months left to live and he started getting adjusted and he lived an extra 2 years and passed away a week after my bar mitzvah. And so to me, that's such a gift that we have. And my thing was at the time, I decided to start to share my gift. And through life, being through more traumas and loss and hardships, I started to hold on to a lot of those wounds. And those wounds started to affect my health to the point years ago, I developed rheumatoid arthritis. And I kind of hit rock bottom after my spiritual teacher, Pasquale, passed away, who was born 9/11/11. He was my chiropractic spiritual teacher and passed away on my biological dad's birthday. So there's different seasons and serendipitous moments that we all see in our lives. And at that time, I decided to say, you know what? I'm tired of being a victim. You think you're doing good and then something else hits you and something else hits you. And sometimes when those things accumulate, we get so stuck in that story and it affects us physically, chemically, emotionally, environmentally, and really takes away from our spirit. And when he passed away, I had to make a decision. Do I want to keep this story going or do I want to change the channel? And at the time, I decided after months of really being better and stuck in my stuff, I call it, I made a decision to say, I need to connect to God. I need to pray. I need to not motivate it, but I need to be inspired to change my life from the inside out. So at the time, I lost 140 pounds. I started changing my vibration. I started recalibrating my soul. And I started just opening up. And I was doing really good for a while. But as we know, life comes at you and boom, I had another hit. And at the time, my wife and I lost a baby at 31 weeks and from COVID stuff. And it really just wrecked me. So I decided just to pour myself into the office. And the office was doing great. But my home life was a mess. My marriage was a mess. My young son was a mess from, losing his baby sister. And at the time, I started not feeling good. And it just kept accumulating. One part of my life was really good on the outside, but my inside life was not good. And my body got so toxic and so traumatized, I developed in my body kidney failure to the point that I was labeled stage 5 kidney failure, and they had to put me on emergency dialysis. So I was on dialysis for a year and a half, and my life was just another mess. I was in survival mode. And I always say you can't be in growth mode and healing mode if you're in protection and survival. And most of us, when we go through traumas, we get stuck in survival, which is a natural occurrence. But the whole point, when you're able to recognize those traumas and recognize those wounds, you start to dive into it like an onion. And you're able to peel away layer by layer and taking small sequential steps. And that's how you heal. Healing is not a simple thing. Healing is a journey. Healing is like a destination. You want to take those steps to get to a next place. But I always say, God, I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't know how that is going to present. I don't know how it's going to show up. But if you trust the process and allow your breakdowns to become breakthroughs, and as you expand and contract from the inside out, just like the ocean goes out, the ocean comes in, the heartbeat goes up, the heartbeat goes down. And life is not linear. Life is about peaks and valleys. But most of the growth, I believe, is in the valley. That's where the people are. That's where the nourishment is. And if you truly see your life like that expansion contraction model, no matter what you go through, instead of saying, why is this happening to me? I always say, why is this happening for me? Because I know different stories in different chapters of my life, that victim mentality, it don't work. It didn't work for me. It doesn't work for most people. I say, how do you use your challenges and your traumas to be the beacon of light for your family, to be the beacon of light for your community, to be the beacon of hope? Like, I'm a hope dealer. That's what I am. I'm a hope dealer. You know, I always say, I want to deal you hope. I want to give you faith. I want to reconnect you to the spirit that designed you, to your creator. I say, God, that works for me. But some people have different blocks with that. Your energy. And the more your energy gets clean, and just like you plug in, renew your cell phone every night, you got to recalibrate. And the more we recalibrate our bodies, our minds, our spirits, the more we could be clear and more connected in every aspect of our life. And so after that kidney failure, and I'm on dialysis, which if you ever look at dialysis world, it's probably one of the most depressing things I've ever been through. Waking up at 4:30 in the morning, getting a 4.5 hour to 5 hour dialysis treatment. It was like total survival. After dialysis, I had to go 3 days a week. I come home, take a nap, and they'll go to my office and serve people. And people, like most people that are on dialysis, they're not working. And I don't know. And people are like, how'd you do that? How could you do that? I go, it's the spirit. The spirit is what kept my fire going. It wasn't on the physical level, because physically I was drained. I'd literally come home, sleep for a few hours, and wake up, do my prayer, do my meditation, say, God, grant me the power and the strength to be able to serve others. You know, the school that I went to, Life University, the motto was love for the sake of loving, give for the sake of giving, and serve for the sake of serving out of your own abundance, and that there's nothing bigger than life. Well, life is light, and life is God. And my thing is, my commitment through my years of practice, my 20th year in practice, is to elevate souls. Like, my job is to elevate souls. And no matter what someone's going through, my thing is, let's grow through this together. And when your neurology is clear on the inside, you're more adaptable to stress. So there's nothing that we can't get through. There's nothing that, if you choose to have a made up mind, and you know what we always say, what the mind can conceive, the body will achieve. And what the body can achieve, your mind will conceive. So it's a two-way street. And you got to have those streets working together. And last year on my birthday, I prayed. My prayer was for a new kidney, not a deceased kidney. The average wait time in New York is 5 to 7 years. And I'm like, I can't see myself being on dialysis more. You know, I'm like, I need to get out of this contracted survival dialysis world, because my life was just like, it was like Groundhog's Day every week. And it wasn't good for my life. It wasn't good for my son, who's now going to be 8 next week. It wasn't good for my marriage. Like, those pieces fell to the wayside in many ways. And so in June, I got a call that there was an anonymous donor from an organization called Renewal. And it's funny, it's called Renewal because every day I believe we got to renew our souls. Every day we got to recalibrate to God's message and God's mission. And that's what I just started. I prayed, and in June I got a call that there was an anonymous donor, and the donor wanted to move pretty fast with the transplant. A live donor, a 39-year-old female. God bless that angel. She has 5 kids, 6 kids. And the transplant was done on my wedding anniversary, July 3rd. So it's interesting that certain dates and certain times and certain seasons of the year are really about connecting. And so I received my transplant July 3rd. I healed very fast. I was the second person at Columbia that was done robotically. And ever since, I started just working. And there were some hiccups along the way. And I got kind of stuck for a while. And I made a decision a few weeks ago to say, I need to change my mindset. So I said, let me get back to what things that I was doing that was helping elevate, like my prayer and my quiet time and the 49 breaths and all these different pieces. And then 2 days ago, I okay, we're back.
Yeah, I was like,
Hey, that's a God wink moment. And then 2 days ago, I said I want to do something even more to kind of change my mindset. I live on the beach, so I'm going to start jumping in the ocean in the morning. I watched this young lady. She's been going in 255 days in a row, and her life has dramatically changed. And I don't think it's about doing one thing. I think it's about accumulating all different strategies and tools in your life that work for you. And so my thing is, I'm going to go jump in the ocean. So yesterday was my first day, and it's cold in New York this time of year. I don't know how cold it is, but it's cold. I'm wearing a winter jacket, and I could see my breath this morning. But the night before, the first night of cold plunge, I didn't sleep. I was literally up every 5 minutes. Just my mind was all over the place, and that's like the enemy trying to make me not make the change, not make the transformation. Which we all like. We make a commitment. We're ready. We're gun ho, and that's why I don't like the word motivation, because motivation is short lived. I like the word inspiration, because when you bring in inspiration, you're bringing in the spirit, and there's nothing more powerful than God and spirit. That's my truth. And so I didn't sleep that night, and I'm like, man, I want to stop. I don't want to do it. It's cold out. I'm comfortable in my bed. I need some more sleep, blah, 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 blah. And I said, no, I made a commitment to change. And I made a commitment to somebody else. And sometimes it's easier for ourselves to make commitment to others and to help others than it is to ourselves. And I say it all starts within. Most of us wounded healers, I call us, or we have traumas, and most people do. But I say, when you're on an airplane, you hear that analogy, and the mask come down, and you got your kids next to you, or your significant other next to you. Who would you put the mask on first? Them or you? You gotta save yourself first, not in a selfish way, but in a selfless way. Because if you're not good, how are you supposed to serve the world? How are you supposed to serve the community? So I made a commitment to myself that, with all the things I've been through, I want to help elevate souls and transform lives. So I went in the ocean yesterday, and I said I'm not going to commit to a certain amount of days. I'm going to commit to one day at a time, because that's where I'm at right now. I used to do a 30-day plan, 90-day plan, 1-year commitment this year, and sometimes I felt overwhelmed. So where I'm at in my life today, because every day is a gift. Like, I wake up and I'm like, God, thank you I'm alive today, because I almost died. Like they said, if I didn't go to the hospital at the time, I would have been dead in 3 days. And when you have that come to Jesus moment, I call it, like, I'm like, every day I'm just starting one day at a time. And that's my motto. So yesterday after the cold plunge, I'm like, this felt really good to my system. I felt really invigorated. I felt vibrant after. I felt really clear. And then yesterday I got 2 chiropractic adjustments. And then I do other things. I juice and take all my supplements. And I do all these different pieces to get whole. But it all starts with, clear neurology. That's why I love chiropractic. And all those other things are other things to help. But it's really about getting connected with your neurology and having your spine aligned like the tree of life. Because if that tree is rooted, you can grow. Right. And then I committed yesterday to go in today. And I went in today. The person that was supposed to show up came late. I'm like, I don't want to wait I'm just going to go in, because I'm like, I committed going in at 8 o'clock. And so I did. And I went in at 8 and I got out. I'm like, I'm going to commit tomorrow. And that's how I'm taking it day by day. Even though I have certain action plans, I'm really about living in PTC, present time consciousness. Not thinking about yesterday, not thinking about tomorrow. I have goals. I have strategies that I want to achieve, but I'm really just focused about being in the moment, being present with myself, rebuilding my marriage. Thank God I got the best wife. She's my best friend. I called her, my nickname for her, like growing up, like as we met in 2008, was Peapod. And I'm like, why Peapod? And a P looks like a kidney. I'm like, holy, and it's like funny how she was a match. She was the first match, but we want to get pregnant again. And I said, you know what? I can hang with dialysis more. It's more important that you get pregnant first. And now we're going to start, trying again, not trying, doing again. So we get pregnant and praying to God that God gives us another baby, because we really want to expand our family. And she's like my best friend, and my son's going to be 8 next week. And he comes to the office every Friday. He's in a homeschool co-op. And it's just, when you pour love into these children and you pour love into people, we expect miracles because that's what God wants for us. And so that's just, that's just like the highlights of my story. I appreciate this opportunity. I don't really know Neve. I just know what you shared. I'm like, this girl's a beautiful soul. I'm like, I want to connect to her. And she's been interviewing some of the top people that I know in the world. So it's really a great opportunity to be here and share my heart.
You did amazing. Like, I love your story, and it's so in depth, and there's so much like happening, but you've still come through. And I have one question for you. I think the moral of your story is keeping faith, and I want to know what your advice is to anyone who's having trouble keeping faith.
Well, that's a big question that I've been asking for years. So I want to just go back when I was a kid, and when my dad got sick, I was raised Jewish, and I would go to Hebrew school. I wasn't into it. It was just like go to pray, go to do this, but I didn't feel it in my heart. It was more like go through the motions. And when my dad was watching him transition, everyone was like, pray, pray, pray. He's gonna live, and he died. And at that time, I was angry. I was an angry 13-year-old, like. I'm 13 years old in the Jewish faith. It's becoming a man, and I don't even have a man to help me with. I became the man of my house at 13 with my two sisters and my mom, and I was angry, and I lost faith. I really lost faith, and I started just going down that wrong road, but then I fell into sports, and thank God for sports and athletics, and, an amazing mother a single mom who poured herself into the family and us. I had a glimpse of faith because I'm like, I'm alive. But I didn't know faith. And then at 24 years old, almost 25, my sister was killed in a drunk driving car wreck on purpose. And when I say car wreck on purpose, I don't believe in accidents. I do not believe in accidents. I believe everything happens for a reason. And you always see why does bad things happen to good people? God's plan, is God's plan. I don't know why things happen. I'm not that person. I just know that I trust in God. And when my sister was killed, if it wasn't for me reconnecting to God, not that he ever left me, God's always with us. Mm-hmm. My connection with God wasn't strong, so I had to start to dive into that. And I remember being at a seminar on a mountain in Colorado, and I'm thinking about my sister. I'm like, God, just show me a sign. Show me a sign that you exist. And I see on the floor is this rock shaped like a heart. I'm like, okay, maybe. But then a butterfly landed on my shoulder. And anytime I think about my sister, Melissa, I would think about butterflies. Don't know why. It just always reminded me of her. And a butterfly symbolically is all about transformation and change. And a butterfly landed on me and would not get off of me. And I'm hysterically crying. I'm like, thank you, God. Thank you, God. And when I was in the hospital, when they gave you, like, if you didn't get here, you have a few, days left to live. Like I had, I saw the other side. I was 2 nights in a row. God came to me, Jesus came to me, and all these different pieces. And I was like, oh my gosh. And when they gave me the diagnosis, that label, a rabbi comes in and go, I'm here to pray for you. So the signs and wonders are always out there. I just say, let's ask God for more signs and more wonders. And every morning, before you even leave your door, I say, put on the salvation of God. Put on that chastity belt, they call it. In the Jewish faith, I wrap tefillin, which is getting rooted from the heart to the soul. And every day, read prayers, read the Bible, New Testament, Old Testament, whatever you choose, that's your choice. I read it all because I want to connect to God in every way and every way, every day and every way in my life. And so I just keep reading prayers and trusting the process and asking for it. Like if you don't ask for something, you're not going to get it. And right. You might not get it today. You might not get it tomorrow. You might not get it 10 years from now. But I know it's a universal truth. It's a biblical truth. When you plant seeds, eventually those seeds will grow. Maybe not the way you thought about it. I always say, God, I don't know your plan, but I don't know how it's going to happen. But I know your plan will be the best plan for me. And I say that constantly. And there are days that I don't feel that. There are days that I'm more challenged with that. But I just ask and ask and ask. And sometimes you just got to be still. When you get still within and you become obedient to the voice of God, like many people do things, but they're not obedient. They just do it because they're in the motions. They're in the I listened to Jamie, who you connected with the other day. She was my first student. I was her first chiropractor when she was in student clinic, Jamie Weisgeiver. And so you don't know why, but you got to be obedient to the voice, to the God within you. And that's what I would recommend every day. Just like people spend more time charging their cell phone. You gotta charge into God every day. You gotta plug in. If you're not plugged in, you're plugged out. And that's why the world is the way it is. And so my message, my mission, I say, is to elevate souls from babies to pregnant women to families. We got to plug in to that God-given potential. If we're created in God's image, God has never left us. That Father our Heavenly Father will never leave us. Our biological father or mother might leave us, but that Heavenly Father will never leave us. And that's the words that I live by.
Wow. I'm actually speechless. Like, you are just so incredible. You were so solid on your principle, and we need more people like you. You're just absolutely amazing. So thank you so much for coming on. This was such an honor to have you on.
Well, I just want to say, thank you for the opportunity. And I don't even know, you're in school, you're a doctor. Like, I don't even know anything about you.
I'm in high school.
You're in high school. I mean, this is what we're talking about. So one thing I want to acknowledge within you, you just said all that about me. All that wisdom, all that blessing is inside of you. The only reason why we're able to recognize things in others, I mean, you're in high school. I mean, in high school, I was not doing this stuff. I was like on the other side. I was on the dark side, I call it, and I had to come to the light. But you're doing this in high school. So this is what every generation has the opportunity to get more connected even sooner. When we're born, we have that connection, but through life's traumas and tribulations, sometimes some of us get disconnected. You're doing this in high school. Yeah, what a gift from God you are. Like, you're an elevated soul, and it's like, wow. I mean, I didn't know anything about this, so this is even more inspiring. So it makes me want to get out even more and share this message and mission to the world. So thank you. I always say, like, when I give talks, a lot of people prepare for their talks. I pray to the Spirit before I give a talk. Mm-hmm. God work through me. When I'm in the office, God work through my hands, work through my heart, work through my eyes, work through my ears, work through my being, work through my cell. And I say, God, guide me. And that's how I do everything.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you. That was so kind of you to say. You just continue to amaze me. Everything you say is just so much wisdom, and I don't even think you realize how much wisdom you have. It's incredible. So thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And the last thing I say, sometimes this is good for all of us to hear. Sometimes it takes others see the best of us. Others see the gifts of us. Others see the strength, the beauty, the wisdom that some of us might not see. And I always say, if I had a friend that talked to me the way I talk to myself sometimes, I wouldn't want to be friends with them. So I always say, be vulnerable in your life. Get out of your head, get into your heart, the longest 18-inch highway in the world, I call it. And when you live in the heart, that's where God comes. It's not about here. It's about opening up here. And so that way we could be more a humble and better servant. And so talk to ourselves better, love ourselves unconditionally. Just think about all of us. We're just little babies that want to be loved, create safety and support. And that's the message I got for you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on. I hope everyone really enjoyed today's episode. I know I did. So be sure to tune in next Thursday at 6 a.m. and have a great day.
Neva, God bless you. Happy holidays.